everybody. Allie Cattail here, author of the Fauna and the Flora. I guess this is kind of a big news update. I finished writing book 2. Yay! Well, first draft. Which is really more like a second draft in the way that I write, because I refuse to move out of a chapter until it is like really solid. So my first draft feels a little more like a second draft, but I'm so happy to finally be able to see the whole story put together on a whole, because I've been looking at it chapter by chapter for so long, and now I feel like the final vision is finally coming into view. This is also very exciting because my second draft is the draft that I read to my husband and my daughter. That's a little nerve-wracking, but there are no bigger fans out there of the Fauna and the Flora than my husband and my daughter. But I view them as my advanced readers because I'm self-published. I don't do any advanced readers. I wouldn't know where to begin for any of that. So I use them and their reactions to bounce it all off of, and I'm about halfway through reading it to them, and they seem to be enjoying it, and I'm really enjoying it too. The process for writing book 2 has been completely different from the process of writing book 1. I think while I was taking the 6 years that it took to write the first one, I was still discovering the world, still discovering the characters, still discovering my voice as an author and how I was gonna do it. But by the time I finished the very long process of the Fauna and the Flora book 1, I knew exactly where I was going for book 2, and that made all the difference. I took maybe 2 months and just mapped it all out. I mean, I did my scene building, I did my character building, and I did an overall sketch of the plot. So when I sat down to actually write the first chapter, I knew I had, I think it's maybe 42 chapters. I knew exactly what each of them needed to be. And so it just became the process of sequentially writing it, which is how I do it. I just write chapter by chapter all the way to the end. Like I said, I don't leave the chapter until it is like on lock. But I had such a clear vision this time that I just didn't have the first time around. And I think it made everything move a lot quicker too, because I started writing book 2 in December of 2025, and it was completed in June of 2026. So now I'm going through the process of reading it to my husband and daughter, going back and fiddling at the line level, making sure everything is exactly tweaked as I want it to be, and then I shall begin the process of audiobook recording, which I honestly thought I would never do again. As I was in the process of recording the audiobook for book 1, I thought, I am never doing this again because it is so hard. It is like a totally different skill, staring at wavelengths all day, and just the matting. I mean, I thought I was gonna go deaf. I'm not kidding. I had the earbuds in my ear for so long at a time, I thought I might lose my hearing. On top of that, the performative aspect of it is very different, because I hear this story in my head, but then I go to actually act it out, and it's way more challenging than you think to be able to get it to go from in here to out there, especially when I have a cast of 30 characters. That's right, over 30 characters in book 2, and they all have unique voices that I hear in my head. But, you know, getting them out, that's going to be the challenging part. That's what I'm looking forward to, though, the most this time around, because I think I have a better plan for getting through it a little more optimally. And we'll just see. I think that book 2 is going to be very exciting. It is not quite the slow burn start that book 1 had. Book 1 needed to establish the world. It needed to relax you into the fact that you're in an anthropomorphic world, that your main characters are animals with animal qualities, and yet they express human emotions and find themselves in human situations. I had to really take time at the beginning of book 1 to establish how all that works. You know, do they walk on 4 legs? Do they walk on 2 legs? Are they really wearing outfits? Yes. But this time around, all of that was in the rear view. I know that my readers understand the world, so I was able to just jump right into the drama. So when we get to the book 2 release, what you can look forward to is drama right up top. I start big. Everything built in book 1 toward big, but book 2, I start big, and I really try to keep up the pace. Yes, there is a new event. Actually, there's more than one event. I know a lot of people are worried for Grace and looking forward to finding out where she's going to be, and you're going to get those answers, but you're also going to get everybody returning. I think absolutely everybody from book 1 is in book 2 and then some. I can't help myself. I have a full cast. I have some great new sets this time, which I really enjoyed building. And when I say building, I think I mean that in more of a philosophical sense, but you know, you're building it on the page too. I could do a whole video about that, but I think that all of it culminates into a really cool forest world. I've got a new journey you're gonna get to go on, and all of these characters I really have tried to grow. No one is exactly the same, and sometimes that's difficult to accept, of course, but I really want to keep the series moving. I want to keep the characters growing. I want to take what you think you know, and I want to challenge that, while, you know, understanding that you do end up developing an attachment to these characters. I feel an attachment to these characters. So I think I've accomplished that. I feel really proud of the story. I think because I took so much time up top to map it all out, I think it's complex, but it's tight. And I think it's gonna be a good one. I think you're gonna get to the last page and be like, whoa, because I hope that's how you felt when you read the last page of book 1. So this is great. I am very excited. Book 2 absolutely exists. I am tired, but I am proud. I cannot wait to start working on the book cover. I want to see those visuals come to life, and all of it culminates for me in the readers who actually pick up the book and actually start experiencing it, and then reach out and tell me what they think about the story. So if you are not a reader already, I would just love to have you become one. This is a story that I feel we're going to be able to discuss for years and years to come, because book 2 isn't the end. There is a book 3 that is planned, and it's coming out. I am doing it. After that, I think I will probably focus on new characters. The whole series will probably take a little bit of a turn, maybe focus on some new stuff, but I feel like 3 books will be a really good unit to really explore the characters that I've created, and I just think it's so worth it. I love soap operas. I love soapy drama. As I'm writing, I'm continuing to read classic literature, and I'm continuing to watch soap operas, and I'm continuing to also watch other types of drama that are all inspiring me, all going into the glorious soup. The glorious soup of creativity. And I thank you guys so much for being here with me through it all. The Fauna and the Flora is available at restlessforest.com, but also on Amazon, Walmart. The audiobook is on Audible. All you have to do is search it. It's somewhere. It is totally accessible to you. Totally, especially book one is a really good late summer, fall read. So as you're kind of feeling your pumpkin spiced vibes, go ahead and pick up the Fauna and the Flora. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening, for being here, and I look forward to announcing the release date. Bye.